Hello to everyone in the Holy Trinity Greek Orthodox Cathedral community. This is Father Jonathan. I hope you're doing well. It's good to be able to speak to you. I'd like to extend a special greeting to our young adults and our college students, those who I work closely with, but really anyone who watches these videos near and afar. If you haven't already, make sure you like and subscribe to our channel. We're trying to hit the 1,000 subscriber mark so that we can reach as many people as possible with our live stream capabilities. So please, again, like and subscribe to this. It'll help us meet the needs of the community. And this video, although I've been posting videos every day and I'll continue to do that, small reflections, this is our regularly scheduled weekly video in the Sunday Scripture with Father Jonathan series. And so without any further ado, I'll begin speaking about the epistle and gospel reading for this coming Sunday. Now, we find ourselves in a fearful time, filled with anxiety and uncertainty. We're worried about our health, the economy, what tomorrow will bring, and even what will happen from moment to moment. How do we respond in such times is the question. And what can our faith teach us about confronting the reality we find ourselves in without succumbing to it, being overwhelmed by it, and sinking into despair? Well, first we need to realize that this simply is where we find ourselves in the present moment. This is the life we're living now. Yes, it is scary. Yes, we don't know what's going to happen next and when. However, this is not the whole story. We have hope. The Gospel and Epistle readings today, for Sunday, speak to this fact. Now, in the Epistle reading for this Sunday, taken from the letter to the Hebrews, we're reminded of the life of Abraham. We're brought back to the beginning, to Genesis, as a reminder of God's faithfulness, even when times are uncertain. We read about God's promise to Abraham. When Abraham was childless, God promises to bless him and multiply him, a feat indeed, for Abraham was nearly 100 years old. And what can this teach us in times like this? What wisdom can we glean from it? Well, if we read carefully, something arises from the depth of this passage. Referring to the promise of God, the text reads, "Men indeed swear by a greater than themselves, and in all their disputes an oath is final for confirmation." However, God made a promise to Abraham, and since he had no one greater by whom to swear, he swore by himself. God is eternal, ever the same, unchanging. His word is true, standing firm forever. So when God desired to show more convincingly to the heirs of the promise the unchangeable character of his purpose, he interposed with an oath, so that through two unchangeable things, himself and his word, in which it is impossible that God should prove false, we who have fled for refuge might have strong encouragement to seize the hope set before us. Thus, we can trust God. In fact, this is exactly what faith is. Trust. We trust God because he is faithful. He is trustworthy in his promises. Well, what is his promise? Well, I am with you always, even to the end of the age, as we hear at the end of the Gospel of Matthew. He will be with us. He will not let us succumb to the fears, the anxieties, the uncertainties of the world. Not even when the whole world is a fearful place and we do not know what will happen next. You might say, however, that this is well and good, but I'm still afraid. How can I trust that everything will be okay in times like this? The truth is that it can be difficult. even if the Lord himself was standing in front of us, assuring us that we'll be okay, we might find ourselves lacking faith, unable to trust in God's promises. This is normal in times like these. However, we are given some encouragement in the gospel reading for this Sunday. In this passage taken from the gospel according to Mark, we read the story of Jesus' encounter with a man and his son. The man comes to Jesus informing him that his severely possessed son was unable to be helped by his disciples. Jesus responds to the crowd by saying, "O faithless generation, how long am I to be with you? How long am I to bear with you? Bring him to me." And after the father explains the circumstances of his son's unfortunate possession to Jesus, Jesus responds by saying, "If you can, all things are possible to him who believes." Jesus reminds us all here of the power of faith, of trust in God. However, the man's response speaks to the reality of our own day-to-day experience, especially in times of uncertainty, like we find ourselves in right now. We read, "Immediately the father of the child cried out and said, 'I believe, help my unbelief.'" We may find that we believe, but with doubts. We may trust in God's providence in all things, and yet are fearful. The father of the boy teaches us that we ought not to let our fears prevent us from calling upon the Lord. If we fear, if we doubt, if the promises of God's gracious presence still leaves us without full trust, we can offer that uncertainty to God as well. He can help our unbelief in uncertain times. For as we read in the epistle, in all things, we have a sure and steadfast anchor of the soul, a hope that enters into the inner shrine behind the curtains of our hearts. This is the Lord and his promises. The Lord and his promises give us the power to exist in the midst of great fear without succumbing to it. It may be fearful, we may have no way of knowing what's going to happen next, but we know we are in God's embrace because his promise is true, because his word is eternal. I know this may not give every bit of comfort that you hope for, but stay strong. We'll be okay. Times are difficult, times are uncertain, but God's love endures. His embrace is ever with us. We are all held in his embrace. God bless you. We love you. We're praying for you. If you need anything, don't hesitate to reach out. We're available via phone at any time. You can email us, whatever you need. If you're able to help others, feel free to reach out to us. We're making a list of people that can help those in need from our community. But again, don't hesitate to reach out. You're not alone in this, even when we're practicing social distancing. God bless you. We love you. Amen.